Hello again, everybody. Welcome back.
Welcome back to the second half
Part
of the
two.
Mary Elizabeth Variety Hour.
Part two.
Part two. We're indoors here because the wind was blowing really hard before and I said we got to go indoors because you get this, when you do the show, you could hear each other all right, but then the microphone picks up all the wind
Yeah.
and a few of our shows, I'm sorry to say, you can't hear half of the show because
Yeah.
it's all just noise. So yeah, wind noise. So we're keeping that. So we do this is everything we do for you,
Yes.
all you people in television land.
Yeah.
So it's kind of dark in here though. But
Yeah.
were there lights on once? I think there was lights once. I mean, we've been here before, and so we're outside, but we're kind of inside.
Yeah.
And we had drove out all the people who were having picnics today.
Yeah.
So
I had a really good year this year.
we did.
I
Yeah.
went to England this past March.
England, yes.
London, England.
Tell us about England.
I went to see a play called Frank's Closet.
All right.
And I got to take pictures with the actors and
All
everything,
right.
and I got to meet them.
Mm-hmm. Of
They were really nice.
course.
And I got to
England's a great country.
yeah, and I got to tour an old cemetery at an old church.
Yeah.
I got to do that, and then
Yeah. When I go, I love going to London. I'm an aunt there, and I have I have cousins from England.
oh yeah,
Yeah, and some of them don't live in England anymore. A few went back to Ireland, and a few went. One of my cousins lives in Spain. If you could believe that.
yeah. The next country I want to go to next is Ireland.
Ireland, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a lot like England. They speak English.
yeah,
They're a little wilder in Ireland.
but you could go with me if you want to.
If I want to, yeah.
Yeah,
Might go visit my aunt. Here, you have fun on at the West End, seeing all the show. I tell you what I saw when I was in London. I saw my favorite actor at the time. He's dead now. Michael Gambon. He's from Ireland. He's in the Harry Potter movies. He plays
oh yeah,
Dumbledore,
oh yeah.
and he replaced Richard Harris. And I saw him in a movie, a really wild movie called The Cook, the Thief, and the Wife and the Lover,
Oh yeah.
and with Helen Mirren. And if you saw that movie, you know who I'm talking about. And I was so mesmerized by this actor who played the worst villain you've ever seen in a movie. And
Yeah.
I said and I knew he was a great actor, Shakespeare and everything. So I said when I go to London, I'm going to make sure I know he's probably going to be performing somewhere. And I went to see him in a play by coincidence. Yasmin Riva, who is a wrote this play where it's all about the other woman. There's another great actress. There's only two people in the play. It was her name is. It'll come to me in a moment. But they were both on a train, and they were both thinking about what to say to the other one. And it's like it's an hour, like an hour and a half play. And the last 15 minutes, they finally do talk to each other. Before that, it's just them thinking in their mind what they're saying, and it was really good. Yasmin Riva, gosh, I can't think of the woman's name. Who was the other woman? And then I saw a play called Art on the West End, and that was written by the same woman who is actually a Jewish woman from Iran who now lives in Paris, who writes in French. And in both cases, there's an English translation of both plays. Art actually had a good run in New York with I think Alan Alda and Buck Henry, but the version I saw had Stacy Keach and George Wendt and an actor called David Dukes, not the Ku Klux Klan guy, but a really good actor called David Dukes, and he has since died. But he they I saw that play, and that play is really cool. Let me tell you what it's about. It's about let me think about who the actor. Okay, uh, David Dukes buys a painting, And but you know what the painting is? Just a white canvas painted white. And the
Oh.
guy just loves this painting. It just has, I think, a signature at the bottom of the artist.
Oh.
And the Stacy Keach character is this know-it-all, and he thinks, "What a fool you are to buy a all white canvas."
Yeah.
And he goes, "You won't believe how smart our friends are." And then, as the play goes on, he starts to question, and it's a lot of insults are thrown to each other. How stupid could you have been to buy this hunk of junk? I could have done this, you know.
Yeah.
The George Wendt character is kind of the guy in the middle, and he looked at it and he goes, "You know, I kind of like that. I see it at what our friend sees in it." And of course, and then
Yeah.
he gets George Wendt, as you know, played Norm on Cheers. And when that was over, I met all three of them, and I didn't meet I met Michael Gambon at the end of he was just walking to his car. No one waited for him or anything. He just walked to his car, and I saw him, and I walked him to his car, shook his hand, said, "I enjoy your work," and that was it. No picture or anything because there was no one there to take a picture.
Yeah.
But he was great, and
Yeah.
so
I was gonna go see Cabaret at first.
Cabaret. Was
Yeah.
there someone famous in it?
I don't remember,
Yeah.
but I wanted to see it. But I think the tickets sold out or something, so I had to pick another
Yeah.
show. It was called Frank's Closet,
Yes.
and it wasn't.
Tell us about Frank's Closet.
It was like a brand new play at the time.
Yeah.
Okay, it was never heard of.
Yeah. That's the
It's
best play.
yeah,
You're seeing it for the first time.
yeah. It was a good play too. It's about they have all these celebrities like Karen Carpenter and um there's plenty of other celebrities that were
Well, it was
on.
like was it like a drag review of
Yeah,
all the people playing?
yeah,
Okay, yeah, I've seen shows like that. Yeah,
yeah. It was a good show. I got to meet the actors who played in it.
yeah.
It was great.
They used to call now they're very popular those drag, but at the time they were well they didn't call it drag, they called it female impersonator,
Yeah,
and it was always a man playing, and that was the old
yeah,
joke was
yeah,
what is there anything a man does better than a woman? And he says, yeah, he's a better female impersonator.
yeah. Yeah. There were some that played in the show too,
Yeah,
like drag queens and stuff.
yeah,
But they were really nice. So
yeah.
I got to
You got to
yeah,
meet them. They're usually
yeah.
nice to meet them. I know quite a few, believe it or not, in Richmond.
I,
The
w-
part of the theater world, you see a lot of people like
I
that.
wish I would have met somebody famous there, but it
Yeah.
was a great show that I saw. So
Yeah, when I go to London or New York, I always try to see someone famous. Because if there's no one famous in it, then I just see it when it comes to town in Richmond.
yeah,
But I like you know when famous people come to town, I go to see them. I saw Paul Williams a couple of weeks ago. I saw Chubby Checker a few months ago.
yeah.
So yeah,
I posted pictures of me and the actors
yeah.
together in the picture.
All
You
right.
saw those, didn't you?
I see everything you
Yeah.
do. I keep I am my friend's biggest fan. They used to be my biggest fans. Now I'm their fans. Their biggest fan, and I liked it better the old way. Speaking of the theater, we're not in Gypsy anymore. We weren't fired. The whole play was fired,
Cancel, cancel. Yeah,
canceled. Yeah, I think just there's I think a lot of people getting sick and everything. So I listen. I'm still holding out hope that sometime in 2024 we'll perform it. But I mean, we all learn our lines, we learn our
yeah.
songs,
I
our
know the lines.
dancing. Yeah,
Yeah,
I can still recite them for you. In fact, I might just do it. Oh, I played Mr. Goldstone, who has no lines, so
yeah. I'll be in
they're
Sweet.
my lines. That's my
I'll
whole.
be in Sweetie Todd.
You'll be in Sweeney
I
Todd
think in March or something.
by Stephen Sondheim, who also wrote Gypsy. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and I'm also going to audition for Shrek
and
too.
Shrek. Shrek is good.
So
Yeah,
I'll be doing those two shows so far.
I've
So
seen I've seen almost every musical, every show. I haven't seen every play, but I've read a lot of plays. I've read I in college I took classes that yeah, plays were easier to read than these thick Victorian novels and stuff. So I try to take as many classes with plays in it.
yeah,
But plays are meant to be spoken. They're not meant to be read like you're reading them. If that's the only thing you can do, that's fine. But I'll give you a good example. I had to read a whole bunch of Noel Coward stuff, and when you read it, it's like reading Neil Simon. You read it, it's funny. That's yeah. When you see it performed, and the acting and the pausing and the phrasing and the production, it's much more funnier. It was meant to be performed. And I saw, I think, Private Lives. I read Private Lives. It's funny. It's all right. But then I saw it performed, and it was a wonderful show. And Noel Coward wrote a lot of plays, yeah,
Yeah.
and wrote a lot of good songs too.
Yeah.
And let's see. I gotta tell you one last thing. I There's not a whole lot of good movies out there. I think we saw Wicked, and that's about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing good that's out there. But there was a movie. I have that thing on my phone that I can see any movie I want. I saw a movie called Kraven. All right, and I didn't know a whole lot about the movie. It was a good movie. It was a superhero movie, a Marvel movie. So so anyway, I didn't know anything about it. So Aaron Taylor Johnson is in it. The character, I thought it was. I said, I'm here to see the movie Kraken, like release the Kraken, Kraken.
Yeah.
And they said, no, it's not Kraken, it's Kraven. Now, my real name is Kevin Kravitz. And then I said, wait a minute, there's a crab in it and a nin. There's a crab and a vin in it. Kraven. I said, I should remember this name. It's if you smush both my names together, Kraven. Kraven. Maybe that should be that Kraven is how they'd spell my name if I got a if I got a coffee at Starbucks. Is Mr. Kraven here? Oh yeah, here.
I want to tell you something
Yeah,
funny. I told you this last night,
yeah,
but oh, to say it again.
yeah.
Have you seen the show called Beverly Hillbillies?
Oh yes.
Um, I used to think when I was a kid, I used to think their last names, their last names were Hillbillies.
Hillbillies. Oh, I can tell you all about the Beverly Hillbillies. Beverly Hillbillies.
Like Ellie Mae Hillbilly,
Hillbillies. It sounds like
Jeffrey Hillbilly,
I didn't
Grady
understand when
Hillbilly.
I was a kid the pun involved there. There was Beverly Hills. That's where they lived. The Beverly Hillbillies. You see how that works?
Yeah.
They had a spoof of it on Saturday night once, and it was the Bel Arabs, where the Arabs had moved to Bel Air in the rich part of Los Angeles. So the Beverly Hills. Oh, that makes. Oh, that you grow up. Oh, that I never knew that. I did, you know. And then the other thing was
There was a Jeffrey Hillbilly,
death row.
Jen Hillbilly, Ellie Mae Hillbilly, Grady Hillbilly. I used to thought their last name was Hillbilly,
You know that
but now,
Jethro was the son of a famous boxer, Max Baer,
yeah, I know.
and he was actually he's the only one still with us, and at this time, and was a he was actually a very smart guy. He had a master's degree in English and everything and writing,
Yeah.
but he was typecast playing Jethro because they thought that's all he could do. Be a dumb. What's the old joke? He was cast in the parts where he could lift a ton, but he couldn't spell it. But then he made a lot of money years later producing movies, most famously Macon County Line, which was made for like $200,000 or something, and then it made like 30 million, which is great
Yeah.
to do that. And it's a good movie, Macon County Line. And they made, I think, another movie, Ode to Billy Joe, which is based on the song
Yeah.
by Robbie with Robbie Benson played Billy Joe. Billy Joe I always thought was a girl, but then in the movie it's a boy.
Bobby Gentry made that too.
Bobby Gentry
It was a
wrote
one hit
that.
wonder.
Well, it was a one hit wonder, but Bobby Gentry was that was a hell of a song. Everyone remembers that song, and one famous singer named Jim Stafford, who had more hits than Bobby Gentry, eventually married Bobby Gentry, and he even asked her. They asked, "Why'd you divorce her?" And he says, "Well, she never told me what they threw off that Tallahatchie Bridge." And I had to marry the woman, and she still wouldn't tell me. So, but that's wonderful song. I'm surprised people don't sing it more at the karaoke because you could have everybody eating out of your hand if you sing that. Maybe I'll sing that. I don't know if a man can sing it, but it's one of those songs like "One Day at a Time" or something, or "I Am Woman." One day at a time, sweet Jesus, that's all I'm asking for you. You know who wrote that song? Chris Christopherson.
Oh yeah.
But he never. From what I gather, I've never heard him sing it.
Oh, you meant One Day at a Time of the TV show.
Oh, well, one day at a time. I don't know which came first, but the AA people call it. That's their motto. That you have to go through the sobriety one day at a time. It's not something you.
Oh.
It's not something you plan. You plan for years to come. I mean, you hope that it happens for years to come.
Yeah.
One day at a time, and then the show became one day. It's a nice phrase. One day at a time. You could use it for almost anything.
Yeah.
But the song "One Day at a Time," I think Chris Christopherson was going through some sobriety problem and used that phrase to write the song. It's kind of you hear it. It's a religious song.
Yeah.
A lot of people have recorded it. Though. A lot of women have recorded. I've never heard a man record it. Maybe I should sing it.
Yeah.
Well, that's a difference
From the TV show.
from the TV show. Yeah. And then there's another song called Harper Valley PTA. You know,
yeah, I know that one.
by Jeannie
I
C.
have the
Riley.
album.
You know who wrote that song? A very famous songwriter, country songwriter. But he never recorded it either because he was a man. It was Tom T. Hall who wrote Old Dogs, Children, Watermelon Ride. A lot of good hits. He's a very good songwriter. And what else can I tell you? Oh, and we were talking in the first half about deaths, and Jimmy Carter died.
Yeah, Jimmy Carter and Linda Lavin.
Yeah, but let me talk about Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter was the first president I ever met.
Yeah.
And what happened was in 1979 he came to Richmond, and I was in high school, and and um, and I was trying so hard. I had my movie camera. I tried to take film of him. This is before people had any sort of cameras.
Yeah.
And they went through my bag. He was the president of the United States at this time. It wasn't like he was running or he was a up and comer. You know, where the security was very tough. And it was at the John Marshall Hotel. I think he was speaking to a bunch of donors, but everyone was there to see him. And
we saw parts of Swagger at the John Marshall Hotel.
That's right.
Yeah, that was cool.
The John Marshall Hotel. Yeah, it's now like I don't know what it is now. I think it's apartments now. But anyway, I go there. At the time, it was I think the fanciest hotel in town. And
Elvis stayed there.
The Elvis and everything. Yeah, and Jimmy Carter. Well, I don't think Jimmy Carter spent any time there other than to give the speech and leave. But I never saw this before. They put it on a big screen because we weren't not in the same room with Jimmy Carter. He was in the next room. But before he went out to give this speech, he went to the smaller room, and we were so excited to actually see the president. And he walked among everybody and shook everybody's hand. And I was with a woman who eventually was a national news correspondent. I think she still is a national. Her name is Sarah James, a longtime friend of mine. And she just happened to be there when I was there, and a few other friends were there, high school friends. And I knew she was a bigger deal than I was because Jimmy Carter was using both hands to shake. I got a left hand. She got a right hand, which is the more important hand. But Jimmy Carter, it was all for naught because Jimmy Carter did not get re-election that year. But he was still a young man. He was, I think, 50. Let's see. I guess he was 52 when he became president. He was 56 when he left, and then what is it? 45 years later, he's still. He only died like a day ago. 2 days ago. The Carter family.
Yeah,
Carter family. Well, we wouldn't be surprised. There was remember he had the brother Billy Carter, always drunk.
Yeah.
But he was a teetotaler. He didn't drink, and he was very religious and all. He was probably the most religious president we ever had. He was probably the only religious president we ever had. And the others say they're religious, but they're not religious. But Jimmy Carter really was religious, and Jimmy Carter, they said, well, he won't drink at wine or anything because he's a because he's religious and all this junk. But I don't think. I think his family was really bad drinkers, and they almost all died of pancreatic cancer, which is sometimes a side effect of drinking. He was only one. He lived to be 100. Billy Carter was most famous, and he was just. And I think this happens a lot in families. You see people in your family so messed up from drugs or alcohol or bad behavior or something. That's something I want to steer clear from. I don't want to be a part of that. So
Yeah.
so he was the first president I ever saw. And he was one of the few presidents I ever saw that was president. Most times I see presidents after they were president or before they were president. Saw Donald Trump before he was president. Saw Biden before he was president. Saw George Bush. Saw Ronald Reagan all before they were president. Bill Clinton before he was president. Obama I saw after he was president. The only president in since Carter I haven't seen was George W. Bush. And the reason why I didn't see George W. Bush is because he never came to town. He
Yeah.
already had our town in his back pocket. He didn't have to campaign here.
Yeah.
See, the other times we were swing states. They came to try to impress us, and that's when I come.
Yeah.
I go see all of the people when they come to town. I'm the welcome guy. I'm the honorary mayor of Short Pump. And when I say honorary, it means I don't get paid for it. I put on a bright smile and everything. Jimmy Carter. So end of an era with Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter was also the first president I ever voted for. I didn't vote for him the first time because I was too young, but the second time I was old. They changed the constitutional amendment to 18, and I was able to vote for him against Reagan. What else? I felt bad about the hostages. I mean, I felt bad for him that the hostages, Iran really did not like Jimmy Carter, and they were afraid of Reagan, so that's why he was released. Yeah. Oh, by the way, speaking of the Middle East, speaking of Judaism, Hanukkah this week, and it's almost sundown, so time to light some candles. But let me tell you, it landed the same day as Christmas. Happens every about 15 years.
Yeah.
That happens. I never figured out when Hanukkah is. I never figured out when Easter is. Every year it's a different time.
Yeah.
And it has something to do with the calendar and the moons and everything. I don't know any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And what else? We is there anything here you want to talk about?
Jerry Lee Lewis.
Jerry Lee Lewis. Have we ever talked about him before?
I don't think so.
He died. Was it last year?
Yeah.
This is his last album. This is a really good album.
He married his 13-year-old cousin.
When people talk about Jerry Lee Lewis, that's usually the first thing they bring up. It ended his career pretty much. It was on a sort of an Elvis sort of trajectory. And then in England, they got word that he was married to a 13-year-old, and he said, "I don't care what you people think." That was always his
Oh yeah,
attitude.
I saw that movie.
You saw the
Called
movie
the Fire.
with Dennis
Quaid.
Quaid and
Yeah.
Winona as the
Winona
13-year-old. And
Winona Ryder.
it was weird that I think Jerry Lee Lewis had no qualms about. He couldn't see what the fuss was about marrying a 13-year-old cousin. He also, that was his third wife, and also I think even if there was any sort of scandal involved, he thought, "Well, I married her. What more do you want from me?" But it's still, I know one thing when Woody Allen got in trouble with Sun Yi and everything, and she was much younger than him. The first celebrity to stand by Woody Allen, I'm not kidding you, was Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yeah.
He didn't know what the fuss was. Well, what's the fuss? I was a 13-year-old, 18-year-olds over almost a grandmother that in my place. Jim and Swaggart were cousins, and Mickey Gilley. They all have a similar sound when they sing.
Yeah.
Even Jimmy Swaggart, but Jimmy Swaggart refused to sing rock and roll. He felt that rock and roll was he felt that it wasn't, the lyrics were bad enough, but also rock and roll had even the beat of it almost like a tribal, like almost like a tom tom or like natives or something,
Yeah.
and that was wrong. While if you notice a lot of religious music, there's no drum in there's no beat in religious music. It's all kind of melodic, like a piano or an organ or something. So Yeah, Jerry Lee Lewis made it famous on pretty much just two songs. He had a lot of smaller hits on the country charts and everything, and he sings a lot of songs. He the two hits, of course, was "Great Balls of Fire," and the other one was "A Whole Lot of Shaking Going On." But he was a very arrogant guy. He once shot his in a rage. He once shot his he once shot his assistant. He had a wife, like his fifth wife or something, and she was so upset with him. She said, "I'm going to commit suicide." He said, "Go ahead," and then she did. She drank a whole bunch
Wow.
of pills, and I guess he didn't think she was going to do it, and then she did it. And then, like a month later, he remarried. So it was always kind of controversial what happened there. If your spouse dies mysteriously, don't get remarried so a month
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
Wait a year or two. The other thing, Jerry Lee Lewis, he and Elvis had a rivalry,
Yeah, I know.
and there's a funny story where they were both in Las Vegas, and in like a VIP suite or something, and Jerry Lee Lewis told off Elvis and said, "You know what you are? You know all you are is Colonel Parker's puppet. That's all you are." And then Jerry Lee Lewis said, then Elvis says, if if you're so smart and I'm so dumb, why are you playing the lounge and I'm playing the main room? He's right. But actually, to some extent, Jerry Lewis had the last laugh because he lived a lot longer, and I think Elvis was Colonel Parker's pop. But I saw Jerry Lee Lewis at Yankee Stadium in New York. It was one of the best shows I ever saw. I tell you what happened. It was in 1987. It was the Statue of Liberty celebration. It was the 4th of July, and there was all this stuff going on in New York. The a lot of stuff. I've spoken about it before, but at Yankee Stadium, like the day before, July 3rd. Listen to this: you go to the ball game, you watch the ball game, Yankees. Then they have a fireworks display, the Grucci fireworks, and then while the fireworks are going on, they're turning the infield into with speakers and with a thing for the band to come out. The first band that came out was uh, Fats Domino,
Mm.
and that was great, you know. And then after that, Jerry Lee Lewis came out. Now they purposely had Jerry Lee Lewis come out later because they weren't sure Jerry. I'm sure Jerry Lewis wasn't there yet. Jerry Lee Lewis was famous for not being showing up for shows. He was supposed to come to Richmond once and he didn't show up. That band had to play without him, and they said, "You want your refunds? Go get your refunds." That type of thing. But they kept announcing, if you people don't simmer down, Jerry Lee Lewis will not come out. And I told my friend, I said, Jerry Lee Lewis is not here yet. But I was kind of confident he would show up because it was New York City, and we did see, if all went bad, we still would have seen Fats Domino.
Yeah.
And so Fats Domino, his show was over. Then Jerry Lee Lewis came out. And Jerry Lee Lewis was great. You know, I mean, he just pounds everything, and both shows were about maybe less than an hour each, but it was great. And he sang two or three really rocking songs, and then the fourth song he sang, he just stopped it cold, and he said, "I'm going to sing my favorite song now," and it was "Over the Rainbow." And "Over the Rainbow," he played it really slow,
Oh yeah.
but he should have just kept going, but he didn't care. He said that I think he said somewhere in the concert that New York was his favorite town, and he rarely misses a performance in New York City
Yeah.
because he doesn't. Why be in New York if you're not going to perform
Yeah.
and make money?
Yeah.
So that was a very exciting rock and roll show. My friend, right before Jerry Lee Lewis came out, says, "You want to go home now?" I said, "Hell no! I'm here to see Jerry Lee Lewis."
Yeah, I know. I know. Yeah.
I'm going to stay until he does. And the whole night, I think, lasted until maybe 1 in the morning or 1:30,
Wow.
and then I went back to the Bronx visit my aunt where I was
Yeah.
staying. Yeah, and so that's my Jerry Lee Lewis story.
Yeah.
Jerry Lee Lewis. I didn't meet him or anything. I didn't even get any good pictures of him because I had the Instamatic camera. I would have done better with a shoebox and a candle from where I was sitting, but it was good. It was good.
Yeah.
Earlier that I met Mickey Mantle and Whitey Ford and Mel Allen, the announcer, and I think and Dave Winfield, and Lou Piniella was the
Yeah.
manager of the Yankees in
Yeah.
those days. Yeah, so that was every time I go to New York, I have a good time. So
Yeah.
I have no plans. I don't know what 2025 will take me, but I am looking forward to a wonderful time with you,
Yes,
doing more
definitely.
shows and
Yeah.
everything. And thank you for a wonderful year, another wonderful year doing this show. And I wish to you and all our fans a happy 2025.
All
Happy
right.
New Year.
I just want to say thank you all for tuning in, and may God bless you
This is the Mary Elizabeth Variety Hour. I'm your announcer, Kaye Lazar. This is
all.
the
Mary
host of
Elizabeth
our show.
Kaye.
Our host of our show, Mary Elizabeth Jones. All right.
And
Bye bye.